Right now, we are awaiting a decision on whether or not President Trump will once again certify the Iran nuclear deal. Now, the White House says a decision will come, quote, in the coming days. But already there is speculation the president will declare the 2015 agreement does not best serve America's national security interests. This comes as Iran's president today warned the U.S. about backing out and told a crowd that not even 10 Donald Trumps can roll back the benefits the deal has brought Tehran. Now, Jim Walsh is an international security expert at the MIT Security Studies program and joins me now to kind of give us some insight into what all of this means. Thanks for being here.
Good to be with you, Molly.
So let's start with this. We have this October 15th deadline looming, and really this is something that Congress did with the intention of holding the former president, President Barack Obama, to account when they did not like this deal going into place. So here we are, another deadline coming up, and the administration has signaled that perhaps this time they will decertify. But they're getting a little pushback from some of the leaders, some of those advisors. Give us some insight into what's happening there amongst the Trump team.
Well, I think you heard Secretary of Defense Mattis testify before Congress last week. He was asked a very pointed question by Senator King. He said, yes or no, should we stay in the Iran deal? And he said yes, as did the person he was testifying with, as has the Secretary of State, and essentially the entire national security team is saying, we've got Iran's nuclear program in a box. Let's not let it out. But the president, has strong feelings about this. And I think at the end of the day, if he decertifies, it's not so much because Iran is not complying. Iran is complying, according to our intelligence community. It's that he just doesn't like Iran as a country, and he wants to send a message that he's upset.
Well, earlier this month, the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, really kind of dug into this and hinted that this might be the time to decertify. And she really painted this with a broad brush and said that this was more about all of the problems that Iran causes. And frankly, there are a lot of challenges that Iran causes, the destabilization in that area of the world, the backdoor channels of funding terrorism. Is this a way to kind of hint that things could really change if Iran doesn't change its ways, not just when it comes to its ambitions for possibly nuclear ambitions, but in all other areas as well?
Well, I think you're right, Molly. I mean, there are a lot of things that Iran does that we don't like, and rightfully so. But I've said all along, the only thing worse than an Iran that does bad things is an Iran that does bad things and has nuclear weapons. I mean, that's our number one, you have to list in order the things that are most important to you. You have to have a sense of priority. For us, it has been, for the United States, it has been no nuclear weapon in Iran. That is job one. And yeah, we might be upset that they have human rights problems or other issues, but I don't think that's a reason to destroy an agreement that is basically accomplishing our number one national security priority, which is no nuclear weapons. Yes, Iran does things we don't like. We should use other foreign policy tools to address that, but we shouldn't be pulling out of an agreement that we signed with our partners. It seems to me all that does is isolate us, going back to Colin Powell. If you break it, you own it, and I think that's the way the world's going to see this.
If we do decertify, if the administration chooses to decertify at this time, what's the impact?
Yeah, it's a great question, and this is a little confusing, I think, probably for viewers, and understandably, because we've got this decertification thing. That's regarding U.S. national legislation that was passed in Congress. Separate from that is the international agreement, this Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and the UN Security Resolution. Now, just because Mr. Trump decertifies doesn't automatically wreck this international agreement, but it puts you on a path for that to happen. And if the Senate comes in under this law, the Senate can respond to this decertification and pass a whole new bunch of sanctions. And if they do that, I think the rest of the world is going to see us as the violator, not Iran. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Right. And as you mentioned, the JCPOA wouldn't instantly wouldn't disappear. It stays in place. The sanctions would stay in place. But the world community would be looking at this and looking at this action taken on the part of the United States. What are they going to be seeing?
Well, I was talking to Europeans yesterday. They're begging Congress not to do anything that would wreck the agreement. And frankly, you know, I think some in Congress, including some Republican senators, are a little reluctant. You know, it's one thing to do it and say you're going to destroy something in a campaign. It's another when you're facing the realities here. But the Europeans have been clear. They are begging Mr. Trump and begging Congress, this thing is working, let's keep it together, and we're just going to have to see how it unfolds. Once he does that, if he does it, all sorts of possibilities are on the table. Some are positive and many are negative, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely, and we won't have to wait long. October 15th, that day is looming.
Exactly.
Jim Walsh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you.